Have you ever stepped into a room, gazed at the disarray, and wondered, where on earth do I even begin? You're definitely not alone. Clutter accumulates rapidly, and when you're feeling swamped, it's easy to just freeze and do nothing. But here's the encouraging news. You don't have to conquer everything at once. Today, you'll uncover 9 straightforward methods to clear out the mess without any strain. By the end, you'll experience a sense of lightness, greater command, and finally freedom from the grip of disorder. Allow me to introduce Joyce. She's 72, a retiree, and cherishes her tranquil mornings with a warm beverage. However, lately, she's felt trapped. Her home, where she's resided for 3 decades, is overflowing with possessions. Towering stacks of papers, clothing unworn for years, and boxes she intended to organize, but never did. Each time she attempts to begin decluttering, she's overcome and simply quits. Does this sound familiar? But here's the unexpected turn. Joyce doesn't remain captive in her cluttered house indefinitely. She uncovers a system that makes decluttering effortless, quick, and even a bit enjoyable. And the secret? It's not about getting rid of every single item. It's about knowing precisely where to start. Step 7 is the breakthrough moment. It's the one technique that prevents mess from ever piling up again. So stay tuned, because that's coming up. If you've ever felt confined by clutter, hit that like button. Let's tidy up together. And if you desire more life-simplifying advice like this, subscribe now, and let's transform your home into a sanctuary of peace and liberation. Step 1. Start with a single small victory. Ever gazed at a room full of chaos and thought, this is impossible? I have no idea where to even commence. That's precisely how Joyce felt. She'd enter her living area, observe heaps of old periodicals, unopened mail, and various trinkets covering every surface. Instead of tidying, she'd sigh, turn around, and leave the jumble for another day. Sound relatable? But here's the reality. Attempting to tackle everything simultaneously is the quickest route to giving up before you've even begun. Instead, the key is to begin modestly. When Joyce finally resolved to declutter, she didn't empty her entire wardrobe or try to clear her whole living room in one go. She simply chose one straightforward task to clean: a solitary kitchen drawer. It took her just 5 minutes to sort through the muddle, discard the expired coupons, and neatly arrange what remained. And something remarkable occurred. That tiny triumph made her feel accomplished. It was like a small spark of inspiration. The following day, she addressed another drawer, then a modest stack of papers. Before she realized it, she had built momentum, and decluttering no longer felt so overwhelming. Why is this effective? Because each time you finish a small task, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It's the same sensation that makes checking off a to-do list so gratifying. Every small win nudges your brain to desire more. Where to start? You don't need to clean an entire room today. Just select one minuscule item. A single utility drawer, the stack of old mail on your table, your bedside table strewn with random objects, one shelf in your closet. The objective? One small victory today. No pressure, no tension. What's your clutter hotspot? Joyce's greatest annoyance was that kitchen drawer. What about you? What's the single cluttered spot that frustrates you every time you see it? Share it in the comments below. You're not alone in this, and keep watching, because next is a straightforward principle that will help you instantly dispose of obvious junk without second-guessing yourself. Step 2. The obvious discard rule. Have you ever picked up an old receipt, a broken writing instrument, or a takeout menu from an eatery that closed years ago, only to place it back down thinking, perhaps I'll deal with this later? That's precisely what George, a a 68-year-old retired mechanic used to do. George had a tendency to retain things, not because he needed them, but because discarding them felt like a decision he preferred not to make. His junk drawer was overflowing, his kitchen counter was buried under old papers, and his garage was a graveyard of items he might someday require. But the truth is, some things don't necessitate a decision. They simply need to be removed. The obvious discard rule: here's a simple trick. If you instantly know something is rubbish, throw it away now. No hesitation, no, what if I need this later? If your intuition tells you it's junk, it is junk. One afternoon, George finally had enough. He opened a drawer and discovered a pile of old takeout menus, half from establishments that had ceased operations years ago. He chuckled, realizing he hadn't even noticed their presence. Instead of returning them, he immediately tossed them. And that minuscule action, it ignited something. He progressed to expired coupons, then to dried-up pens, mismatched hosiery, and empty bottles of lotion. No reluctance, no guilt, just immediate relief from clutter. The freedom of release. The moment you begin discarding obvious trash, you feel lighter, less burdened. It's as if a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. Imagine this. You open your drawer, and instead of a chaotic mess, you see only items you genuinely use. No searching, no irritation, just serenity. Right now, take 30 seconds and look around. Spot something that's unequivocally trash. Get rid of it. It could be outdated food in the refrigerator, a stretched-out elastic band, a broken phone charger, that sock with a hole you always intend to mend. What's the most peculiar piece of clutter you've unearthed in your home? Share in the comments below. And stay tuned, because next, we're tackling one of the biggest clutter traps seniors encounter and how to break free from it permanently. Step 3. The 10-minute declutter dash. You know that feeling when you contemplate decluttering and suddenly it seems like a full-time occupation? Just contemplating sifting through piles of possessions can be so overwhelming that it's simpler to do nothing at all. That's precisely how Evelyn, a 72-year-old retired nurse, felt. She desired a tidy home, but dreaded dedicating hours to decluttering. So instead of commencing, she'd tell herself, "I'll do it tomorrow." But tomorrow never arrived until she discovered the 10-minute declutter dash. Why 10 minutes transforms everything. Here's the secret. Decluttering doesn't have to consume your entire day. When you set a timer for just 10 minutes and proceed as quickly as you can, something incredible happens. You don't overthink. You just move. You trick your brain into action. No dread, no procrastination. You actually achieve visible progress and feel positive about it. Instead of staring at the chaos, wondering where to start, Evelyn set a 10-minute timer and simply plunged in. She grabbed an old shopping bag and began tossing items: expired spices, junk mail, old receipts. Before she knew it, the timer sounded, and she already had a bag full of clutter. Gone. No exhaustion, no weariness, just small, rapid successes. Set a 10-minute timer on your phone. Select one small area, your nightstand, a single kitchen cupboard, or that stack of papers on your table, and declutter as quickly as you can. The instant the timer beeps, stop. That's it. The best part? If you're feeling good, you can always do another round later. But even if you don't, you've already triumphed. What's your 10-minute objective? What's the first spot you'll address in your 10-minute declutter dash? Let me know in the comments and stick around, because up next, we're discussing what to do when you get stuck deciding what to retain and what to release. Step 4. The 3-second rule for decisions. You pick up an old jumper from the back of your closet. You haven't worn it in years, but as soon as you consider discarding it, doubts creep in. Perhaps I'll wear it again someday. But it was a present. I'd feel bad getting rid of it. What if I regret releasing it? And just like that, you put it back, and contributing to the mess all over again. This is precisely what happened to Ronald, a 70-year-old retired teacher who struggled with releasing possessions. His closet was overflowing, but each time he attempted to declutter, he'd second-guess himself. He'd stand there holding old garments, mementos, even broken gadgets, paralyzed by indecision, until he learned the 3-second rule. The 3-second rule simplifies decluttering. Here's how it operates. If it takes longer than 3 seconds to decide whether to keep something, it likely needs to go. Your intuition knows the answer. If you hesitate, it signifies you don't truly require it. No overthinking. It compels swift, confident choices. It eliminates clutter guilt. If you're keeping something solely because you feel guilty about throwing it out, that's a clear indication it's time to let go. When Ronald applied this technique, he grabbed that old jumper. The moment he began debating, he knew he hadn't worn it in years and wasn't going to. Instead of returning it, he donated it. Then he proceeded to books he'd never read, kitchen devices he never utilized, and before he knew it, he'd emptied an entire closet. No stress, no remorse, just liberation. Don't let guilt trap you in clutter. Many individuals cling to items due to guilt. Perhaps it was a gift. Maybe it cost a lot of money. Perhaps you believe you should keep it. But here's the truth. A gift fulfilled its purpose when it brought you happiness. You don't have to retain it perpetually. Keeping something you never use won't recover the money you spent. If it's not adding value to your life, it's simply occupying space. Pick one item that's been sitting around forever. Hold it for 3 seconds. If you waver, release it. Then tell me in the comments, what was the most challenging item for you to let go of? And stay tuned, because next, we'll tackle one of the biggest errors people make when decluttering and how to prevent it. Step 5. The one-touch sorting method. Have you ever started decluttering only to shift items from one pile to another without actually eliminating anything? That's what transpired with Alice, a 68-year-old grandmother who had been endeavoring to declutter her home for years. Each time she sifted through her belongings, she'd create maybe piles, items she might keep, might donate, might discard. But those piles simply sat there, day after day, week after week, and nothing ever departed the house. That's when she discovered the one-touch sorting method. How the one-touch rule functions. Instead of repeatedly moving things around, you make a decision the very first time you handle an item. Set up 3 containers or bags. Keep only for items you genuinely use or adore. Donate for things that are in good condition but no longer serve your purpose. Trash for anything broken, expired, or unusable. Pick up an item and sort it immediately. No setting it down to ponder later. No maybe pile. If you hesitate, follow the 3-second rule from step 4. When Alice tried this, she was astonished. She began in her wardrobe, and for the first time, items were actually leaving her home. Her old shoes went directly into the donate box. Expired makeup, trash, the sweater she loved, keep. No more shuffling piles, no more second guessing, just swift, easy decisions. Why this works? It eradicates procrastination. You don't leave clutter sitting around. It compels genuine progress. Items are sorted and removed instantly. It feels gratifying. You'll observe tangible results immediately. Grab 3 bags or boxes. Select a cluttered area, your kitchen counter, a utility drawer, or a closet shelf. Touch each item once and sort it. Once you've accomplished it, tell me in the comments, what's the hardest item for you to get rid of? And don't go anywhere, because next, we're discussing the one mindset shift that simplifies decluttering tenfold. Step 6. Discard sentimental items without remorse. Some items are easy to discard: old newspapers, expired coupons, broken gadgets. But what about the things that hold memories? That's precisely where George, a 72-year-old retired firefighter, got stuck. Over the years, he had preserved every birthday card, ticket stub, and souvenir from family excursions. His drawers were overflowing, and his shelves were packed with keepsakes. Whenever he tried to declutter, he'd pick up an old letter from his late wife, or a birthday card from his grandchildren and think, "How can I possibly throw this away?" But then he learned a straightforward technique that altered everything. Retain the memory, not the clutter. Memories don't need to occupy physical space. Instead of clinging to everything, capture a photograph. Snap a picture of sentimental items before releasing them. Create a digital album to safeguard special memories without generating mess. Choose one or two genuine treasures. Not everything needs to be kept. Instead of preserving an entire box of old birthday cards, George laid them out and took a photograph. That way, he could still revisit those memories any time without them consuming space. For truly special items, he selected just a few to keep: his wedding ring, a letter from his wife, and a baseball signed by his grandson. Everything else he let go with zero regrets. How to release without guilt. Many individuals struggle with sentimental clutter because they feel as though they're discarding memories. But here's the reality. The love and meaning reside in the moments, not the objects. If everything is special, then nothing is. Keep only what genuinely matters. You're creating room for new memories. Clutter traps you in the past. Clearing it out enables you to savor the present. Find one sentimental item you've been holding on to. Take a picture of it. Then ask yourself, does keeping the physical item add value to my life, or is the memory sufficient? Tell me in the comments. What's the most challenging sentimental item for you to declutter? And stick around because next we'll discuss the strategy to prevent clutter from returning. Step 7. The one in, one out principle. Decluttering isn't solely about removing possessions. It's about preventing them from accumulating again. And that's where the one in, one out principle comes into play. Consider Linda, a 67-year-old retired teacher. She finally cleared out her cluttered kitchen and felt incredible. But a few months later, she noticed the cupboards were full again. What happened? She had gradually introduced new mugs, new gadgets, new dishes, but never eliminated anything. That's when she made a simple adjustment. For every new item that entered, one old item had to depart. How the one in, one out principle operates. Purchased a new sweater, donate an old one. Acquired a new book, pass one along to a friend or the library. Received a new coffee mug as a gift, bid farewell to one that's gathering dust. It's a straightforward habit, but it stops clutter before it even begins. One day, Linda bought a new coffee mug she adored. But instead of simply adding it to the collection, she selected an old chipped mug and placed it in the donation box. After a few weeks of implementing this, she realized something profound. Her home was no longer filling up with clutter. Why this works? It inhibits clutter from gradually returning, makes you more conscious of your purchases, and keeps your home organized effortlessly. Look around your home. Is there anything new you've recently acquired? If so, choose one old item to release right now. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing you could substitute today? And don't go anywhere because next, we're tackling the simplest way to clear out clutter without lifting a finger. Step 8. The daily 5-minute refresh. You don't need hours of cleaning to maintain a tidy home. Just 5 minutes before bedtime can make all the difference. Take Robert, a 70-year-old widower. Every morning he'd awaken frustrated. His reading spectacles were missing, his keys were buried under mail, and the television remote had vanished. Clutter was complicating his life. One night he attempted something novel, a simple 5-minute refresh. How the daily 5-minute refresh works. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Return items to their proper places. Straighten up one small area like the coffee table, kitchen counter, or nightstand. That's it. No deep cleaning, no stress, just restoring your space. At first, 5 minutes seemed too brief to effect a change. But after a week, Robert realized he consistently knew where his glasses were. His kitchen counters remained clear. He awoke feeling serene instead of overwhelmed. It became a routine. Every night before bed, he'd perform his quick refresh, and it prevented clutter from accumulating. Why this works? It stops clutter from building up again, prevents misplaced items and daily frustration, and cultivates a sense of control without feeling burdened. Before you retire tonight, set a timer for 5 minutes. Observe how much you can tidy. You'll be surprised by the impact. Tell me in the comments, what's the one item that always seems to go missing in your house? And don't go anywhere, because if you still feel emotionally connected to clutter, the final step will help you ultimately let go. Step 9. Transform your perspective. Clutter isn't merely stuff. Clutter isn't just objects occupying space. It's a mental burden that impedes you. Consider it. Every old bill, unused gadget, or pile of clothing you never wear is like carrying old baggage. And the more you cling to, the heavier it feels. That's precisely what transpired with Elena, 72 years old, who possessed a house full of items she didn't use but couldn't seem to relinquish. A new way to view clutter. One day, Elena asked herself, "Am I keeping this out of obligation? Does this item bring me delight or simply take up space? Would I prefer more room to breathe or continue holding on to things I don't need?" That's when it struck her. Her home should feel like a sanctuary of peace, not a storage unit. Elena began releasing items one by one, and with every donation, every trash bag removed, she felt lighter. She could finally sit in her living room without clutter everywhere. She awoke feeling liberated instead of overwhelmed. She realized that memories aren't embedded in objects. They reside in her heart. Your home isn't intended to be a museum of the past. It should be a place where you feel calm, content, and unburdened. Imagine this. You awaken tomorrow and step into a clutter-free home. No piles of possessions weighing you down. No drawers overflowing with items you don't require. Just peace, expanse, and a fresh start. Take one small action right now. Select one item and release it. Experience the transformation. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing you've been holding on to that you're finally prepared to let go of? Decluttering doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start modestly, be consistent, and release what no longer serves you. Remember, you don't need a larger house. You need fewer possessions. Take action now. Choose one small area and declutter for 10 minutes. Utilize the obvious discard rule to eliminate evident junk. Make decluttering a routine with a daily 5-minute refresh. If this video assisted you, hit like and share it with someone who needs this.